Hi guys, welcome back for episode number 84 of the weekly playback. I did make a mistake in last week's video. I should have talked about the White Castle in last week's video because for some stupid reason I thought the embargo was until September 28th, not September 25th, but it turned out it was in fact September 25th, which makes more sense. And all these videos went up on that Monday talking about the White Castle, and I don't know why I got the dates mixed up, but I did. So I should have talked about it last week. So my video talking about the White Castle is going to be a week later than everyone else's. And of course, it's been a couple of weeks since I played it. I was hoping I'd get another chance to play it, but unfortunately I did not. There are a number of games that I did play over the last few weeks, which I still haven't talked about. I'm not sure I'll get to go into much detail about them in this video because it is like almost Sunday evening now, well, late afternoon, and I still have a couple more videos I need to shoot today, and I of course have to go feed the cats later. So I'm gonna see how much I can get done in this video, and if I don't get to all the games, then I'll just save some for a future video. So we'll see how much I get done today. So with that being said, let's get into the games that I played. So let's talk about the White Castle. This is Devir Games' Essen release for this year. It is for 1 to 4 players. It is designed by Isra C and Shay S, and the art is done by Joan Gardier, and it's published by Devir Games. Now this is a worker placement with dice game. So if you've played their other game, The Red Cathedral, which I absolutely loved, I played that so many times in the year that I bought it. It's not very similar to that at all because that had like a rondelle with like dice that would like move and stuff like that, and this is not the same. So in this, you're actually going to be picking dice up and then placing them onto the main board or onto your own player board. So you are going to have 3 bridges which look like this, and they will be on the appropriate spots on the board, and hopefully I have pictures to put up from the time that I did play this game. The board is really big, so I will see how much of it I can show you right now. So let's see. There are different areas in this board. So there is like the area which is for, so here is where the bridges are gonna go. So you can see where the bridges are. And then that's gonna be the garden area. You're going to have this castle here. And then off to the side is like gonna be where the warriors will go. And then you have a well area down here, and then the gate to the castle. So yeah, so there's different locations on this board, and at the top of the board you're going to have this heron tracker, which will track your own movement from season to season. There are 3 rounds in this game, and each player is only going to get 3 turns per round. So it is a very tight game. So on your turn, you're basically, so at the beginning of each round, how does this board close? So at the beginning of each round, you are going to take the dice of the different colors, roll them, and then place them in ascending order on each bridge with their matching color. And then when it is your turn, you are going to pick a die from one of the ends of a bridge. So you can never pick the dice that are in the center, you can only pick it from one end or the other. And then after you pick a die, then any dice that that is closest to that edge will move to that spot then. So that is how dice will move into the edges of the bridge for you to pick. So there are various areas of the board. So it's a very tight game in which you are basically trying to collect different resources and points, and like you're trying to chain a lot of actions in this game. So by doing one thing, you're going to trigger other things, hopefully, and then that's how the game is really going to start moving along. So at the beginning of the game, you may not even realize like what you need to do. Like at the beginning, because it's a very tight game, I feel like the first round is kind of almost a waste, where you're just trying to get a feel for the game and trying to figure out what's gonna like trigger what and which actions you should kind of chain in this game. So honestly, I feel like this is the kind of game where you want to play it once, or maybe play 1 or 2 rounds as a practice, and then start a real game where you may actually want to record the scores if you are the kind of person who records scores, which I do. So I feel like you want to maybe have a practice 1 round or 2 so that you can see what kind of triggers what else on the board and how that's going to progress throughout the game. So each player is going to have their own tracker. So you'll have your resource trackers here. You'll have cubes that keep track of your various resources. So you have like mother of pearl, you have iron and food. Here you are going to be placing a card. So you will have a card that is placed there at the start of the game, and that will show you what your lantern bonus is anytime a lantern is triggered for you. So just for an example, I don't know which cards would actually get placed there now. I'm trying to remember. Might be hard for me to remember, in fact, which card might be placed there. Oh yeah, maybe something like this. So you're going to have cards that have like these symbols on the back, and you're going to be placing them here, and they're just going to start stacking up. So you'll have multiple cards that get placed here, and how those get placed there we'll get into in a little bit in the game. But you do start with one card placed there. You're going to start with one card here, which will show like different levels and things that you can get when you, for example, move a worker from this section to some place on the board. So yeah, so we can get into all of that. So basically the different areas of the board on which you can place a die are the castle. So let's see. So you can go into the castle. So you start at the gate. So whenever you place someone in the castle, you're going to start at the gate, and then you can move someone from the gate into the first level, then the second level, and then the third level. The higher up you get into the castle, the more points those workers will be worth at the end of the game. And you're going to be paying Mother of Pearl in order to advance your workers up through the castle. So those are actually courtiers, I think, that are being placed in the castle that will be advancing up in the castle. So, so there's, there's like a lot of flavor text that talks about kind of what this castle, what this game is doing and what your different workers are. So it says here, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Actually, at the beginning of the rulebook, it talks about what this game is about. So it says that you are taking on the role of leaders of minor clans who vie for position and their clan's future in the court of the White Heron. Cunning and timely management of resources and the placement of family members within the Himeji castle will be the key to victory. So yeah, so you are placing your different clan members within the armies, within the castle, and so on in order to hopefully gain points and then prestige. So the castle, you always have to place a matching die. So you are going to place a matching die in a location in order to like trigger its, ability. So if you place so it'll show you like which color dice you can place. Like for example, here you can place either a white or a red die, and then you can see which actions, which rewards you'll get by placing that die, which of course would be on the main board. So I'm just showing you to you from the rule book. Another place where you could place a die is like outside of the walls. So you can go to this one section on the board where there is no color requirement actually. So you can place any color die there. And oh, I forgot to mention, when you place a die somewhere, even on your own board, so if it's less than the number that is there, then you have to pay the difference. If it's more, then you get to collect coins. So for example, if somewhere on the board showed a value of 3 and you placed a value of 5 there, you would get to collect the difference. But if you placed a value that is less than the number indicated on that spot, you have to pay coins in order to place your die there and then do the associated action. If it's the same, then you don't collect any money and you don't pay any money. So there are areas outside of the wall where you kind of have a little bit more leeway in which actions you can take. So for example, if you go on that one part of the board, you can then either take a gardener action or courtier action or a warrior action. There's the well, where if you go to the well, you can get some daimo. So daimo are these resources here. And you need these in order to advance through the seasons on the top part of the board. And by getting as far along as possible, you will maximize the number of points you get. And that is also the turn order tracker. So that will tell you who goes first in each round. By the player who's farthest ahead in that heron tracker, that season tracker, you will see who is farthest ahead and they will get to go first. So in going first, I feel like it's pretty valuable in this game because, the dice rolls are completely random. And when you see which dice are available and which colors, which will allow you to, do different actions, you may want to pick a certain die, and to guarantee that you get the die you want, you may want to be first. So for that reason, you want to collect these daimo in order to get ahead on the heron tracker. So the well, it doesn't matter which color die you place there, and you can put any value die there and just get a dynamo plus another 2 things. So 2 other resources. So what else? So in the personal domain, you can place a die on these locations in order to send out your workers. So your workers are going to be covering these parts of the board. So you're going to have warriors, courtiers, and just what else is there? I don't know. So there's warriors, gardeners. Yeah, that's right. So you'll have warriors, gardeners, and courtiers. Courtiers. By placing a die in the appropriate section, it of course has to match the color. You will then get to remove that worker from your personal board that is the farthest to the left and place it into the appropriate section on the board. So that is how you're getting courtiers into the castle, that's how you're getting warriors into the army section of the board, and that's how you're getting gardeners into the garden section of the board. And I'll talk a little bit about the garden section a little bit later and the warrior section. So when you do that in the future, when you place a die here, you will get whatever is uncovered here as a reward. And plus there will be a card here and you will get the reward from the card on the associated line. So for example, over there, you may have something that looks like this over here. So you may have a card that looks like this. So like, for example, if you placed a red die or a black die, you would get whatever is shown here plus this. And if you placed a white die here, you would get whatever is visible here plus this. And these cards are the cards that are going to be moved to the bottom section of your board as you advance up the castle. So by advancing up the castle, you will have more opportunities to get like higher level cards of these. So anytime you do that by advancing up in the castle levels, you will take the card that is here and place it down here, which will then add to your lantern bonus, and you will get a new better card for here. If at any point during the game there are no more of these cards to collect, then you will just, you've advanced up the castle, you will just get whatever action is or resource thing is depicted on the castle, but you will not get to collect a card then if they're all, you know, if it's depleted, if they weren't able to refill. So yeah, so those are basically the different workers you're going to have, and you'll be placing dice here in order to remove them from your board and place them into the various areas of the board. So the warriors, they will be going into the army section of the board, and the way that they will score at the end, so you will get a reward of course, and it may trigger different kinds of things on the board. And then at the end of the game, you are going to multiply the number of warriors you have by the number of courtiers in the higher sections of the castle, if I remember correctly. So in training yards, you gain clan points for the yard by multiplying the total value of your warriors in this location by the number of courtiers that you have inside the castle, not at the gate. So they have to have moved beyond the gate. And then each warrior has the value indicated in the yard they occupy based on these icons. So if you look at the warrior yard here, let me see if I can find it. Let's see. So there are different, there's going to be different areas which will cost a different amount of iron for you to place your person there. So, and in the higher sections, it's going to cost more, but the reward will be better. So, and I believe that that's the cost to place there. So yeah, so, and then by placing your warrior there, you know, the value of the warrior will be higher. So yeah, for example, in order to place in the 5 section, it will be worth at the end of the game 2 times whatever, I believe. So yeah, so I think that that's how that worked, if I remember correctly. I can double check. So let me just double check warriors. Toffee. So yes, you pay the iron to place your warrior, and then you carry out the action that is assigned in that location. So there will be, are there cards placed there? I can't remember if there's cards placed there. I believe maybe there's, no. there, oh yeah, there's tiles that are placed there. So there's like these little tile thingies, I believe, that are placed there that will then tell you what you are getting from that location. So yes, so there will be these tiles, and I believe they're randomly placed there, if I remember correctly. No, not randomly. So it's placed by color. So there are some colors, and you will be placing those there, and then that will tell you what you get by placing your warrior there. And then, yeah. And so again, in this game, you're just basically triggering a lot of, oh, I didn't realize Toffee knocked this over. You're basically just triggering a lot of different actions, and you're going to be chaining a lot of actions. And as the game progresses, you're going to see how that works. The gardeners that you're moving from your personal board onto the board, at the end of the game, so not at the end of the game, at the end of a round, you are going to look at the garden section. There's going to be different cards over here. And then if there are dice that are left on that bridge where your gardeners are placed, then you will get like a certain kind of bonus at the end. So you can place gardeners there during the game by taking the gardener action, and then at the end of the round, you will see there will be some dice on the bridges. So the gardeners are activated if the bridge above them has at least one die on it. And if you have multiple gardeners in a section, then you can do the action where you have gardeners just once, but in whichever order you want. So, you know, that can be a little bit of a fun thing, like to see where the dice are and where people have their gardeners, and you may want to screw someone over if you see that they have a certain worker underneath a certain bridge, but you want that dice, want the last die there, so you know that they won't get to activate their gardener. So that is a little bit of a fun little kind of almost like take that kind of thing in the game if you are playing mean. I mean, not necessarily. Sometimes you just really need a die and you're just going to screw someone over even if you didn't mean to. So yeah, so I think I already talked about Dynamo Seals, and Dynamo Seals you can spend in order to advance along the Passage of Time track. So you need to spend Dynamo Seals in order to go from season to season. So it'll tell you the cost up here and how you can advance, and the further along you are, the more points you will get at the end of the game. So again, there are 3 rounds in this game, and each person is going to be picking 3 dice in each round. So you are going to have only 9 turns in this entire game, and honestly, by the time that the game ended for us, I feel like we needed at least one more round. I just feel like you are just really starting to get the hang of the game, and you see how tight the game is and how you really need to know how things work in order to have a really good game, I feel like, where you feel satisfied. Like you feel like, you know, some games, when they end, they kind of leave you wanting more. Like I feel that way with Dog Park, and I felt this way with this game. With this game. So with Dog Park and this game, I just felt like they were too short, and I feel like I need at least one more round to feel satisfied at the end, to feel like, okay, not only did I learn what I was doing, and I started to get some kind of a strategy going, but I was able to fulfill something. Like I was able to plan out something and kind of like, you know, activate the strategy I had in mind. But with this game, when you start seeing how things chain together and you're still trying to get the resources you need in order to carry out certain actions and make certain chaining things happen, the game is over by then, and it's like, oh, that was just too short. So I really enjoy this game, but again, I really feel like in order to get the most out of it, you will want to play 2 rounds as practice and then start an official game, and then maybe you will feel satisfied at the end of the game. Otherwise, I think you will feel a little bit dissatisfied if you don't do that. But it is a really good game if you like dice placement games. You know, there is that element of luck, like which numbers are being rolled and stuff like that. And then, you know, you have to have money if you want to use dice, which are not the values of, you know, the spaces on which you want to put them. Because if your value is lower than the number indicated on the board, then you're going to have to pay coins. And if you don't have coins, that's going to be a problem. So there is that little element of luck, which could restrict your actions. So you need to have coin in order to do certain things that you want to do. So again, that's why I feel like you really want to play 2 rounds as practice before starting an official game. But if you enjoy dice placement games and you enjoy games about Japan, and especially the Edo period of Japan, then I think you will enjoy this game. And I think if you enjoyed the Red Cathedral, you will enjoy this game. Like I really absolutely love the Red Cathedral. This is different than the Red Cathedral, but it's by the same designers, and you can kind of see the same mental processes at work that they had kind of going on in the Red Cathedral and in this game, though, it's a little bit different. Like in the Red Cathedral, you had that kind of rondel and the dice were being moved along that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. And again, so this is a De Vere release at Essen, and I was sent this early copy from De Vere Games, so this was a preview copy. But if you enjoyed the Red Cathedral and you enjoy dice worker placement games, then I definitely think you should check out the White Castle. So let's move on. So another game I had the chance to play recently is Ice. Now the box is huge, so I'm not gonna open it up, but it is Ice, and it came out in 2023. It is for 1 to 5 players. It is designed by Bragu and Samson F. Perret, and the art is done by Leonard Dupont, and the publisher is This Way. Now this is a modular board. You're going to have, like, the board pieces in this are really cool actually. So they are multi-layered and they kind of snap together with a magnet, which is really nice. And like they have multiple layers in which you're going to put these hex tiles in, and you're kind of going to be excavating, trying to get down to the bottom layer of the board. So actually I do need the rule book, so I should open this up. But like I can show you an example of one of the sections of the board. So you can see that this is one of the sections of the board. Here is the bottom layer, and then it like lifts up a little bit, then there's this other layer, then there's going to be another layer, and then this layer, and then another layer. So there are multiple layers of this board, and you're going to be putting tiles in all the different layers, and they're going to just create like basically your dig site, where you're going to be digging and excavating and trying to uncover tiles, which you will then be placing into your own board. So you are going to have these archaeologists in this game. Let me see if I can, oh no, maybe I can do this. Let's see. So each player is going to have their own player board, and each player is going to have their own special ability. And there are these archaeologists, which are like common to all the players. So you have these like little archaeologists. They're all going to be white, but each player is going to have their own leader that matches their player board, and of course your own action point tracker to keep track of your action points on your own player board in your own color. There are going to be these like kind of like jaguar type creatures. Honestly, I don't really understand what they do, because maybe we haven't gotten that far in the game to really understand their purpose. There are these campsites which will be placed on various sections of the board, and you may end up placing more. So basically, the game takes place over several days. So there's several days in this game. How many days? In fact, I don't remember. Let's see. So yes, the game is played over a maximum of 7 days. The game could end before then if you manage to reach the very bottom layer of the board. I don't know how likely that is to happen. I played a 2-player game of this, and we did not reach the very bottom layer of the board until we were in the last round anyway. But the game end is either triggered when you reveal the last event card for the 7th round, or if someone has reached the very bottom layer of the board, then you will have 1 more day. So each player at the beginning of the day is going to reset their player board. So you are going to reset your action points, and everyone starts with 5. You will flip over any tiles that you had flipped over during the previous day in order to use your special ability, tiles which you get from excavating. So on your turn, you are going to spend either 1 or 2 action points, and then it will be another player's turn, and so on. But you are going to spend, I think you have to, I don't know, that the way we played it was that you have to spend all of your action points and then the round will end for you, the day will end for you. So because you might actually be acquiring action points during the day, so your action point tracker may even go up during the day. Certain other players may do something which may cause you to get another action point during the day, and so on. So but on your turn, you're going to spend 1 or 2 action points, and then it will be another player's turn, and then it'll eventually come back to you. You can spend some more action points, and so on. So the various actions you can do are to basically move. So you can move your explorer from one space to an adjacent space, and it talks about what is considered adjacent, because certain layers, you may be on a lower layer but still want to go up onto a higher layer, and that higher layer may even be considered adjacent. So you can do that. So you can do that. You can place an explorer on a camp, and then you can place an archaeologist from the reserve on a tile with a camp, or you can move your expedition leader from a tile or from your reserve to a tile with a camp. You can plan, you can collect these planning tokens, which will then allow you in the next phase, sorry, that's not a planning token. Where are the planning tokens? Okay, I don't know where they are, but there are these really nice tokens that are like metal. Oh, here they are. So you can get one per day, and that will allow you to get an extra action point in the next day. So you'll basically cash that in the next day for an extra action point. So those will cost you 1 action point in order for you to have an extra action point in the next day. You can, I already talked about moving. You can place a new camp from the reserve and your expedition leader onto an uncovered tile. Build a camp. So, I mean, I feel like that's like the first thing you do when you start the game. You can excavate, and then different tiles have different excavation costs. So the base cost of an excavation is basically going to be 3, unless it's a special type of tile that is harder to excavate, which will then have a base cost of 4. But you can, so this is one of the harder ones to excavate because it's got all more rock and stuff on it. But you can reduce the excavation cost by how many of your people and archaeologists are on it. So your leader will reduce it by 1, and then any archaeologists that are accompanying you on that tile will reduce the cost by 1. So by cost, I mean points, your action points that you are spending. So when you are excavating, it's going to cost a certain number of action points, but you can reduce that cost by how many people are on that tile, basically. If at the end the cost ends up being 0, then it's a free action and it doesn't even count as an action, basically, then. And then when you excavate, you're basically going to be, so the snow tiles at the very top will basically give you some kind of a special ability, which you will then be able to do on that turn or a future turn, and then place this in the discard bag. But other tiles, as you start to get deeper into the levels, are going to provide you with artifacts. So these artifacts you are placing onto your board into the matching slot. And when you have 2 or more of these anime, which are these circle, then you can activate the special ability of the tile and then flip it over. So during the day, if I had, like, say 2 anime in the green section, that would let me activate the green tile during my turn. And the green one, what does it let you do? Let's find out. Trying to remember what they let you do. Where is that book? I believe it's listed somewhere here. Or maybe it's on a player aid. So yeah, a green tile will let you collect a tile at the moment it is being discarded from the board. If you activate, so there's different tiles you can activate. So I mean, I can just read you a couple of them. Like this one will allow you to gain an extra EP. If you have 2 anime, you can flip it over and gain an extra action point to add to your reserve, which will allow you to take 1 more action during the current day. So they do different things, like obliterate. You can discard a fully uncovered tile adjacent to the tile where your expedition leader is located. There are special prismatic tiles, which are multicolored, and they can count as part of any of the other tiles. So you can place them anywhere. And you can actually move them at the start of each day. So if you know that you want to activate a certain different ability and you only have 1 anime point there, so you won't be able to activate it, but you had this prism tile elsewhere, you can move it at the start of the day during the setup of the day, or whatever what's the first part of the day called? I can't remember. Sorry. What's the first part called? I think it's called like restoration or some preparation phase. Yeah, so during the preparation phase, you can move around these prism tiles to kind of plan for your day if you know you want to take a special action, but you don't have 2 tiles there. So you are collecting these tiles, these artifacts, which you are uncovering by excavating, and you are placing them onto your board, which will give you special actions you can use by then flipping them over. So so if I had 2 of these tiles, I would flip 1 of them over to indicate that I've used that ability in that day, so I can't use it again. You can only use, an artifact ability, I believe, once per turn. And then you can't use it again if you've already flipped it over in that day. But at the preparation phase, and the next day, you can flip it back over. However, these artifact tiles are being used to fulfill certain cards, which is how you're going to get points at the end of the game. So you need to deliver these artifact tiles to the city. And if you don't do that, you're not going to get points at the end of the game. So each person is going to have these cards, and you can collect more throughout the game, these request cards. So you are going to be dealt 4 at the beginning of the game and choose 2 to keep. These are objectives that you are trying to meet, secret objectives. So they will tell you like what kinds of objectives you have in order to get the points indicated. So this one would say that you need 1 red and 1 green in order to get 4 points. And you can't use multiple tiles to fulfill multiple request cards. So you are going to want to deliver these tiles, which is basically something you do at the end of your day. So at the end of your day, when you have no more action points to spend, you can deliver 3 tiles from your player board to the city, which is just put off to the side of your player area. So you need to do that before the end of the game, because otherwise you're not going to score your request cards, which is one of the biggest ways to get points in this game. There are also some common objectives. There's going to be 3 common objectives that everyone is also trying to meet, which can get you points, but these request cards are like a major way to get points. This one says that you need all these 3 shapes in order to get these points, and if you have these 3 shapes of 3 different kinds of tiles, you will get a maximum of 8 points. So by different types of tiles, it means the different kinds of artifacts. So like for that, you would want 1 shape. So on this kind of a tile, for example, and you can see at the bottom of the tile, each tile has an indicated shape there, and then it tells you how many anime it's worth. So the tiles that are going to be at the very bottom of the dig site are going to be worth more. So for example, these are the kinds of tiles you would find at the very bottom if you manage to excavate the very bottom. If you manage to get there, if I can actually pull one out, let's see if I can manage to pull one out. So okay, so this, no, actually, sorry, no, I was wrong. The second to bottom layer. So the second to bottom layer, you will find tiles like this one that have 2 anime. So you only need 1 of those in order to activate the ability. You won't need 2 of these because it already has 2 circles on it. And then at the very bottom of the site, you are going to have these tiles. And the first one, of course, that is flipped over is then going to affect your next game. So it's kind of like a campaign game in that sense. You are going to look up the tile that you managed to excavate at the very bottom and then look in this one book, and that will tell you how your next game is going to be affected. So here, this edifices book. So the tiles at the very bottom are called edifices, and you will find the matching tile and it will tell you what impact it will have on your next game. So there is that kind of campaign thing going on here where the game is going to start changing the more you play it and the more of these edifices that you start to uncover, which I think is pretty cool. So this definitely is a game that I want to play again, and I definitely think it would do better at a higher player count because I played it at a 2-player count, and I feel like me and the other player were kind of only sticking to our own sections of the board. We weren't really coming across each other. We weren't really impacting each other in any kind of way throughout the game. So I think it made it a little less interesting for us. So I think that I want to play this again with a higher player count so that we are interacting more on the board. We are maybe stealing archaeologists from other players, maybe preventing them from doing something because they have fewer archaeologists, and we're taking them from each other. So I really want more interaction in this game, and I just feel like you don't get enough player interaction with just 2 players. So I do think that this is one of those games that you definitely want a higher player count in order to really get the most out of it. But yeah, it is a very cool game. I backed this on Kickstarter. So this is a copy that I paid for myself. It is not a review copy. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. And again, I think it's a pretty cool game. You know, I did have some questions like, or concerns, which I've just been in general having, like, you know, I guess if we want to get into the philosophy of backing board games and, you know, what kinds of games we spend our money on, you know, I just started thinking a lot about whether this is the kind of game that would become an evergreen game? Like, is this the kind of game that people are going to want to pull out a couple years from now and play? Or is this the kind of game that, you know, is really hyped up when it's on Kickstarter, and then as soon as backers start receiving it, they're super excited to play it, but then, you know, months or a couple years down the line, no one's going to really be interested in it. And that's a concern I've just been having in general about board games. Like, I've been thinking a lot about that lately. So, you know, it's just something I was thinking about, and just maybe something to take into consideration. Like, I'm just really, you know, maybe I'll pose that question at the end of this video, in fact. So let's wait to have that discussion a little bit more and later in the video. But basically, that is how you play ice. And at the end of the game, you know, you're just going to see who has the most points, and you may collect points throughout the game that certain tiles will give you that you excavate. And then, of course, the request cards and the decree cards. The request cards, which are your own personal objectives, and then the decree cards, which are the common objectives, which everyone is trying to meet. So yeah, it's a pretty cool, like, tile placement, tile excavation game rather, and just, you know, where you're just kind of moving around and you have a modular board. And yeah, so if you enjoy games that have modular boards and maybe some variety like that, and just really cool components and really cool artwork, then you might enjoy ice. So let's move on. Another game I played recently is Caesar's Empire. So this is a 2022 game for 2 to 5 players, designed by Matthew Poitevin, and the art is done by Alexander Bonvalot and Joel Durans, and it's published by Holy Grail Games. Now, as you guys might know, Holy Grail Games went out of business, and I purchased this on Amazon Prime Day because it was available on Amazon, and because Holy Grail Games had announced that they were going out of business, I thought it would be a good idea to buy this game. So it is a pretty light game. I think it's a game that you would really enjoy if you have kids and you just want to introduce your kids to maybe like a route building game. So in this game, you are going to have a map of Rome, and did I take pictures? I can't remember. I think I might have taken a photo. So you're going to have, you know, the whole, this whole board that shows like the city of Rome, and with varying like locations outside of the main city. So for example, is this upside down? I can't tell if it's upside down or no, it's the right side up. So you'll see that Rome is in the section in the center, and then you'll see like various other locations around the center location. So on your turn, you are basically going to just from an empty location or from Rome, you are going to place one of your roads on an empty road. So if there's only one road, you will place one of your things. If it's 2, then you will place 2. When you connect to a location, there are going to be these tiles on them. So you're going to, at first during setup, place these tiles on the matching color, and they're going to be numbered. So, you know, they can go all the way up to, I believe, 8 in some instances. So like, for example, here's an orange 5. And on these, there are going to be these little tokens that are placed upside down. So you don't know what you're going to be getting, but there's different kinds of resources that you'll be collecting. Like, so for example, this one is a grape. So when you connect to a location, you are going to take this token itself plus the goods token, and you're going to place the goods token onto your own player board. So each column is going to be dedicated to one type of good. So if you only have one good of a certain type at the end of the game, it's going to be worth nothing. That's very unlikely to happen. You're definitely going to have more than one type of good. But you know, the more you have of a certain good type, the more points it will be, and the more variety you have, the more points it will be. So you are going and, you know, trying to reach different cities, different locations, so that you can collect these different types of goods. And you're also trying to get the high value numbers of these locations, because that will determine some of your points at the end. But every time you place a road, you're then going to find the path leading back to Rome, and that will also give you some points. And depending on, you know, how many of your roads were used to lead back to Rome, or how many of another player's were used, you will get points, either 1 or 2 points per section. And if you happen to uncover a gold coin, that's when you would get 2 points instead of 1. So if you manage to uncover a gold coin in that city that you just reached, then everyone who has a road section that leads back to the city would get double what they would normally get. So that's really the game. Like, you are just basically choosing where to go, where to place your sections of your road, and maybe there's a little bit of strategy in which you're trying to, you know, get the higher numbers of these, because again, that will get you more points at the end. And but you might be trying to strategize in the fact that you want to try to avoid, other people getting points from you, but it's going to be inevitable. At some point, someone else is going to get points from you. I played a 2-player game of this, of course, so we used the smaller side of the board, but really, there's really not much strategy to it, to be honest. It's a very light, simple game. I do see that, this as a game that kids would enjoy, so if you have kids and you want to introduce them to network or route building games, then this is a game that I think that would be good to introduce them to. It's pretty much a luck fest to determine which goods you're going to receive and how many of you're going to have of a certain good. Like, there is no strategy there because they're upside down. You have no clue which good you're going to be getting unless they were supposed to be face side up. If they were supposed to be face up, that would actually make more sense, because then I feel like you'd have more strategy. Let me see if they were actually supposed to be face down or face up. Maybe they were supposed to be face up, in fact, because that would actually make more sense. Let me see. Oh yeah, they were supposed to be face up. That makes more sense. Okay, so we played this wrong. Wow. Okay, so they were supposed to be face up. That makes a lot more sense. Wow. Okay, so don't listen to what I said, because yeah, since if they're face up, then you can obviously have more strategy, because then you can see which treasure tokens you'll be getting and trying to actually get to the ones you need. Okay, I think maybe we should play this game again, but correctly. Wow, I don't know who was responsible for that part of the rules, whether the setup, whether it was me or my friend Tim, but one of us is responsible for the mistake we made here. So yeah, so this needs to be played again. I'm glad that that just occurred to me, like while I was shooting this video, that it would make more sense for those to be placed face up, because then there would actually be a little bit of strategy in this game, because yeah, having them face down just made it completely random. so that is good to know. So I'm definitely going to play this again. I hope I can convince him to play it one more time correctly. Yeah, that is funny. Okay, so we'll come back to this game at another point. Let's move on. Yeah. So last week I showed you guys my production copy of Moon that had come in, my deluxe production copy of Moon, and I did get to play a 2-player game of it recently. I don't have it with me, so I'm not going to show it to you right now, but you guys know how much I love Moon. I've talked about this game a lot. It was one of those games that I was so excited to actually keep the pre-production copy of, that I used to shoot my video, because I played it a number of times after even shooting my video, because I just absolutely love Moon. It is a really great engine building pick and pass game. So I'm not going to go into too much detail right now, but I just wanted to mention that that is a game that I did play again recently. I do want to play at a higher player count, and I want to play with the Valkyrie expansion, because I've never played with the Valkyrie expansion and it was not available when I shot my video. So I'm really excited to try that sometime. Another game that I played recently is Ghosts Love Candy 2. So let me just pull up the information for Ghosts Love Candy 2. How are you doing, Toffee? Toffee is sitting behind the camera. He is so cute. And he loves candy too, because he played this game with us, kind of. So Ghosts Love Candy 2 is designed by Danny Devine, and the art is done by Danny Devine. It's published by 25th Century Games, and it is for 2 to 6 players. Now, this is a hand management set collection game. So it's, I will say it's a good game. I just do not like the artwork in it at all. So I'm just not a fan of the art style. So you are going to have like these different kids in the neighborhood. So you're going to, depending on player count, I imagine it depends on player count, but I'd have to double check. You're going to have a certain number of kids in the neighborhood, and they have like different abilities and stuff on them. And you're going to see their scare value. You're going to see how many points they're worth at the end of the game. And you will see maybe some kind of an icon here, which determines whether they have some kind of a special effect on the game, or when they're in your stash. So each player is going to have a set of ghost cards. Now in a 2-player game, each player is going to have 2 sets of ghost cards. And these ghost cards are numbered. So let me see if I can find a full set here. So for example, here is, I believe, a full set of ghost cards. So the highest number you will have is 9, and the lowest number you will have is 1, I think, or maybe 0. So you have ghost cards, and secretly everyone is gonna, at the beginning of a round, pick a card, and then you're gonna reveal them all together. And then starting with the highest number, going to the lowest, you're going to place your ghost underneath a kid in the neighborhood. And then you get to take any candy that is above them. So if there's candy, because at the beginning of each round, you're going to place candy above all of the kids, and you will get to, if you're the first person to place a ghost underneath that kid in that round, you will take the candy that is above them. There's different kinds of candies, and each person has an objective card in which they're trying to get different types of candy. So, you know, there's different kinds of candy, and some of them are even full-size candies, which are worth 5 points at the end of the game. Otherwise, your candy, what it will be worth depends on your own secret card that you have. So each person is going to have a secret card, which will tell them how much their candy is going to be worth. So of course they vary from card to card. So like in this one, you'll see licorice is worth 5, but in this one, it's only worth 3. So, you know, that will kind of help you figure out which kids you want to go to in order to get candy, and so on. But if the numbers end up meeting or exceeding that person's scare value, then that kid is going to get scared and come into your neighborhood. Unless there's another kid in that neighborhood that affects them and says that no, they won't go into your stash and they'll go elsewhere. And again, a lot of these kids are going to be worth negative points. So for example, this mummy is -2. However, this one is worth 3 points. So there are some. Oh no, sorry. This one says each rock in your stash is worth 3 points instead of -1. Because there are some like not candy pieces, but instead bad pieces that you don't want to get. But this one will allow you to actually have your rocks worth points instead of negative points. But there are kids that, you know, can be impacted by other kids. So that their value will become positive. So for example, there was some girl I had, and while having her, if I also had a vampire, then she would be worth positive points. So I tried to get the vampire at the same time so that she would be worth positive points. So basically, once a kid is scared, they're going to go into your stash unless there's something that says that they don't go into your stash. And then you're just going to keep on playing until everyone has used all of their ghost cards, and then the game is over. And then you count up how many points you have from all the candy you have and from the kids in your own stash, and then whoever has the most points will win. So that is essentially the game. It's a good game. I feel like this is a game you definitely want to play at 3 or more players, because at 2 players I feel like it doesn't play that well, because at 2 players we're each going to have 2 sets of ghost cards, and you're still going to go from the highest number to the lowest number, but you could kind of strategize a bit more and try to get a kid that in a multiplayer game I feel like would not have necessarily gone to you. I feel like with a 2-player game it's more easy to you know, kind of control which kid you might end up with, which of course is not going to make the game as fun as it would be if you had more competition for the kids in the neighborhood. So this is a game that I definitely think you want to play with at least 3 players, not 2 players, where you have 2 sets of ghost cards. But yeah, like I said, it's a good Halloween themed game. I'm not a huge fan of the artwork, but I do like the game itself. I think the game itself was good. So yeah, so that is Ghosts Love Candy 2. So if you're looking for a Halloween themed game, then this is a good Halloween themed game, especially if the artwork appeals to you. So let's move on. So I'm not going to talk about any more games in this video. There are still some games from a couple weeks ago, which I still haven't talked about, but maybe I'll do that once I come back from Essen. So let's just move on to the games that I am currently backing. So I don't think that that's changed. Oh, actually it has changed. So I am backing this new game. So I have this one game that is like a little small 1-player game. I believe I have Orchard. I don't remember which one I have, but there is the new fall themed one on Kickstarter now called Forage, and it looks really good. So it's the 9-card solitaire game trilogy. So oh sorry, I don't have Orchard, I have Grove. I think I have Grove. So the first one in the trilogy was Orchard, the second one was Grove, which is what I have, and then I'm backing Forage, but I'm gonna complete the trilogy because now with this completion you can also get the collector's box, so the small 3 boxes will tuck in really nicely into the collector's box. So I'm definitely gonna get that, but I'm so excited for Forage because autumn is my favorite season, and I'm just like really excited about the theme of forage. So it's, you know, an autumn themed one instead of grove, which is what I have, which is citrus themed, where you have like orange and lemon trees and stuff like that, which I did actually really enjoy. Maybe I'll take that with me to Germany to play in the airports and on the plane and stuff. When not on the plane, that wouldn't have enough table space, but definitely in the airports and in my hotel room at night if I'm, you know, feeling the itch to play a game or something. But yeah, I really like this small box solitaire game, really nice. So I'm backing forage. So I'm backing it for just the forage copy, so that's $15, and then in the pledge manager I'll be able to add on the box. So there are different, there's a higher pledge level where you can actually have your name on the inside of the box. I don't think that that's worth an extra $10. Like, I don't need my name on the inside of a box. There are already other games with my name on the inside of a box, so I don't need more. Like, I just don't know what the point of that is. So, I mean, it was just another way for them to make a little bit more money, I think. So, you know, if you care about having your name in the box, then you should do that. I am curious. Well, 125 people want their name in the box. So far, that's how many people have pledged at that level. So yeah, so forage looks really good. So I'm super excited for this. I really love the whole autumn theme. So I'm backing that. And then the rest is the same from last week, I believe. So I still am backing One Page War from Hakan Garter, because he's one of my favorite designers. I'm backing Transmissions for the upgrade pack, which is only $10, so that I can get the updated rule book, and I think they might replace one or two things. And then I'm backing Mycelia, which is £54, and then everything else I'm backing to get my production copy. So I'm backing Kavango, Mythic Mischief, and Fromage at $1 in order to get my production copy of those games. So let's move on. So let's move on to games that I have received or bought. So last week I said I would show you guys my production copy of Dreadful Meadows, which arrived. This actually looks very similar to the pre-production copy. Like, the quality of the pre-production copy that I had in order to shoot my video was like identical to this. In fact, I still have my pre-production copy, and I put them side by side to see if there were any differences, and not really. Like, I could not see any major differences, maybe like a very slight color variation in the player boards, but otherwise, like, the quality is top notch. So yeah, so you have your individual player boards. You know, so this game is for up to 4 players, but they give you 5 different characters to choose from, which I think is kind of interesting. Yeah, it says 1 to 4 players. But this pre-production copy did not have the nice insert and the component holder. So this is very nice. The insert is really great, and the component holder is really nice. And this, you know, you can, when you pop out these pieces, you can actually use these to place on the board to hold the different types of candy. And then underneath that, you can see the different player pieces where they go, and then the score pad and stuff like that. And then here you can see all underneath the cloth bag, you can see where all of these harvesters were. So yeah, so this is really nice. And then of course this comes with the so they only have spaces for 4 of the player pieces, so the 5th one I just put in a bag. And then it does fit sleeved cards, so I sleeved all of my cards because, as you guys know, I'm obsessed with Halloween and I really enjoy this game. It's like a tile placement engine building game. Oh, there's a pen in here. But it's like a tile placement engine building game. So like, you're building up an engine with tile placement, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, so let me just show you the expansion. So I got the deluxe copy, so it came with this Trick or Treats expansion, which comes with like this tower looking thingy. So I haven't played with the expansion yet, but I would really like to. So I hope sometime in October before Halloween that I get to play this game again, but with the expansion. So in this box, you have this thing that you're gonna assemble, like this tower thingy, and there's like this little crate, and there's this dude. He's pretty cool. But yeah, and then it comes with some extra tiles. And then the cards from Tuffy. What are you doing? But the cards, you want this? You want this? You want this? Yes, he wants it. He's so cute. He's actually been feeling a little bit, no, you can't chew it. He's actually been feeling a little bit unwell, poor little monkey. But yeah, so it comes with some extra tiles. The cards from the expansion I actually just put into the main box. So I can't show those to you because I already closed the main box. But yeah, so this is the expansion. So I'm excited to play with this and see what it does exactly. So a game that I received recently that I will be covering for its Kickstarter, which I am pretty excited about, is Wondrous Creatures. So Wondrous Creatures is going to be hitting Kickstarter later in October. So this is from the same publisher as The Life of the Amazonia and Wild Serengeti, which I think that they changed the name. Did they change the name? I think it was called just Serengeti, and then I think they had to change it to Wild Serengeti. So this looks like it's going to be quite a bit of a different game from the previous games they've had. This board is huge, by the way, so I can't even like show you the whole, but you kind of get the idea of what it'll look like. I don't want to, but yeah, so it comes with a big board. Oh no, it's a little bit damaged. There was like glue, I think, and then the glue made it like, when it came apart, I think it just ripped a little bit there. I'll just try to color that in with a colored pencil or something. I don't know. It comes with these individual player boards. So yeah, so as you can see, it's already like looking quite a bit different from their previous games. Now the player pieces in this game, oh my god, are so freaking cool. I'm just going to show you an example, but they are different kinds. So like, for example, this one looks kind of like a seahorse. This one looks kind of like a dinosaur, but these player pieces are so cool because on top of each player piece is a little magnet, and then you have these other little guys, which I think are going to be like a common reserve or something, and they will get to sit on top and snap right on top. Like, look at that. Like, see, it's magnetized and they're not going to fall off. Like, that is so freaking cool. So there's like everyone's like animals are going to hold these people, and there are different kinds of people. So they come in like, there's only a couple of them, but they're different colors and stuff, and they have like different kinds of, you know, they just look so cool. And I love that the front is different from the back. Like in the front, you can actually see the face, and in the back, you can see her hair. And so the attention to detail for these magnetic meeples is just incredible. Just really, really incredible. And these, of course, are screen printed on both sides. And the different creatures are all just so freaking awesome. Like, I just absolutely love them. So let me just show you. So this one is like the dinosaur looking one. I showed you the one that looks kind of like a seahorse. This one looks kind of like a pangolin, actually. It almost looks like a pangolin. So that's pretty cool. And then this one looks kind of like a dragon. That is really cool. And then, of course, there's just a bunch of different cards with really cool artwork, but let me just show you some of the components. So there are these eggs. I believe the eggs actually go in the bag, so I need to put that. There are like these trophies. All these bags I provided, by the way. The pre-production copy did not come with bags. There are these like point tokens and some player marker pieces. These nets, I'm assuming you're basically trying to catch something. I don't know what those are. And then there are these two pieces like this. I'm guessing they go on the board if you're maybe playing at a different player count. I don't know. There are these cards. So I think that these are actually the people. Oh yes, they match the people that I showed you that would snap into the animals you have. And then let me just show you some of the cards. So yeah, because I absolutely love the artwork in this game. So yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited to play this. I had to print out the rule book myself, so it's downstairs, so I don't have it right now. But the pre-production copy did not come with the rule book, which is actually usually the case for most of their pre-production copies, at least the last two games I played. But that's fine. But this just looks incredible, and honestly, these animals, these creatures are so freaking cool. I just cannot wait to play this. So I'm definitely going to play this when I come back from Essen. And there's no point in me taking this to Essen because like I'm just going to be so busy there. I'm not going to like have a chance to like play a game, and I'm not going to take a whole game with me to play over there when there's going to be like, you know, games that I'm going to be buying over there. So that just wouldn't make sense. So yeah, so this is going to have to wait until I come back from Essen for me to play. But I'm really, really looking forward to this. So yeah, so that is Wondrous Creatures, which will be hitting Kickstarter later this month, October, I believe. Another game I received recently, before I get into some other review copies, let me show you something that I backed on Kickstarter. So I backed this thing called Border Riding on Kickstarter. It's basically, it opens up like a map, and it's basically giving you the rules of the game. So you are basically constructing a map with your friends, I think. So you're gonna need like lots of sheets of paper, and you're basically gonna be constructing a map and like drawing different things yourself. That is my understanding of this. So it says it's for 3 to 6 players and it plays in 1 to 2 hours. Excuse me. And it says you need lots of paper, pens, and 1 die. No, 2 dice. And it says it's a collaborative history building game about borders and small communities. So this seemed really cool. So I had backed this on Kickstarter. So, you know, I'd like to give that a chance, but there's so many like things I have like that I still haven't gotten around to playing. But one of my friends is helping me get through my shelf of shame, or shelf of opportunity if you want to be positive. So maybe someday I will get to it. So let's move on. So some review copies I received from DeVere Games. Oh no, I've left the expansion downstairs. Oops. Damn it. I'll have to show that in the next video. I received the expansion to Bitoku, but I will show that in the next video because I forgot to bring it upstairs. And it looked so cool. The pieces in that and the cards looked really cool, but unfortunately I left it downstairs. So for now I will just show you Jerusalem. So interestingly, this is an I, it's not a J. So like when I tried looking this up on Board Game Geek the first time, every time I typed in Jerusalem, it would not come up. And then I found out that this is an I, and the I is the Byzantium spelling of Jerusalem, I believe, or the Greek spelling. I think a friend told me. So, and with any DeVere game, it comes with multiple rule books for you to choose the one that you need. So I always just take the one I need, and the rest I always leave off to the side because space in their boxes is usually very limited. So I actually have not unboxed this, taken anything out yet because I knew that I would not have a chance to play it. So everything is still in wrapper and stuff, but I think that these are like individual player boards. So I decided I would not like unbox it properly. Does this open up, or am I just going to break it if I try to open this up? Oh no, it opens. I just decided I would not properly unbox this until I come back from Essen because honestly I just do not have time to play it before I leave. So, you know, I'll probably show you guys the pieces at a bit later time, but it looks like it comes with a bunch of stickers that you need to put onto all of those meeples. So that's going to be a little bit time consuming. You know what? I actually never did sticker my meeples from Everdell, so I still have all the stickers from my big collector's edition. So here is the board. I don't know if that's upside down or not, but there you go. And then I did not punch out any of the stuff, so I can just show you like the various coins and stuff. So like I said, I did not unbox this properly yet. Because I just know I won't have time to play it. So I will take care of that at some other point. And yeah, and then there's just a bunch of different cards, which I cannot show you because they are wrapped up right now. So that arrived. So this is a review copy from DeVere Games, and I know I'm a bit late to the party, but it's a game that, you know, seems to have good reviews, so I thought I'd like to check it out. And you know, it's a Middle Eastern theme, Jesus themed, so why not? So, you know, I like all things kind of related to the Middle East, so this will be fun to check out. And I actually do really love learning about different religions and stuff, so it will be good to play that. Another review copy from DeVere Games is Yokai Sketch. So this is a 2-player game. I think it's part of their little small box series of 2-player games. I previously had Winter, which I enjoyed, so I'm looking forward to playing Yokai Sketch. And it's, you know, got really cool like artwork. So here are the cards, and on the back of the card it looks like that, and then some other cards. That is really pretty. Isn't that really pretty? Yes. Different little creatures. These creatures look cool. And then on the other side they have like different colors and numbers. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing this. And then finally, another review game I received is Rubber, Paper, and Scissors. So this is from an Asian publisher, I believe. So this is for 2 players. So it's a 2-player game, which we'll play in about 10 minutes. So, and the publisher for this is, I believe it's like Wondrous Games or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Wonderful or something like that. Something like that, Wonderful. Yeah, it looks like Wonderful. It looks like it's from Taiwan. wonderful world of board games, it looks like. So this is the board, and then it just has a bunch of different tokens. So I actually don't know how it plays yet, but it looks cool. I think that in my group chat for Dronda games, like, so we have a group chat for Essen, I think one of the women in that group said that she's actually interested in checking this out, if I remember correctly. I think I saw that on her Instagram, actually. So those are the games that I have received. So let's go into updates. So I'm going to post a picture of the cat shelter, which my friend Tim helped me to build. So again, I want to thank everyone who made donations for all of the kitty cats. Your donations are going towards things like the shelter, which we've built to keep the cats warm during the winter months, and give them a nice cozy place to sleep at night. So I also put a lot of straw in there because in case people don't know this, but with stray animals, never put out blankets for them, because blankets, when they get wet, will freeze, and animals can actually freeze to the blankets. So you never want to place out blankets for stray animals or wildlife. You only want to put out hay or straw, because hay or straw will stay dry and not cause them to freeze to it. So anytime you build an enclosure or want to keep animals warm somehow, always use hay or straw. So he helped me to build this enclosure, and then I went and put some straw into it, and so that is really good news. I'm always accepting donations for the kitty cats if you feel so inclined or generous. Because it is an ongoing expense for me, feeding these cats every single day. But I'm really happy that I managed to get this shelter built before going to Essen. I was worried that the weather would be really cold while I'm gone, and it does get chilly at night now because it is the autumn months. But the week that I'm leaving, the weather is actually going to be in the high 70s on some days. so I guess, it wasn't super urgent for me to build this shelter before leaving, but I'm still glad that I managed to do that. So I'm really happy for the cats. So I have gotten in touch with different organizations, like there's a TNR group here that I've gotten in touch with. So some of the kittens have been trapped and have been spayed or neutered and then released back to the location. And I'm actually going to get in touch with this person to see if I can actually start helping her with her TNR activities. So because right now all I do is feed the cats. I go there, I clean their bowls and water, their bowls and plates, I clean those, and then I give them fresh water and fresh food and stuff like that. But I myself have not done any trapping, but this person who I know runs this organization, who's been able to help with trapping some of these kittens and getting them spayed and neutered, she said that she needs help with doing that because there are way too many kittens and cats in this area that are stray that need to be trapped and then spayed or neutered. So when I come back from Germany, I'm going to see if there's any way I can help her out with doing that, and try to get more involved that way. Spiel Essen updates. I don't think I have any new updates. Now it's just a couple of days away. So I'm shooting this video on a Sunday, and my flight is Tuesday night, and I will be arriving in Germany on Wednesday. So so there's really no new updates. It's just around the corner now. So I'm very excited, a little bit anxious because I've never, as an adult been to Germany. So as an adult, I have never been there, and I just hope it will be easy for me to get around and just do what I need to do. So but I'm really looking forward to meeting people. So, since I put this here so I could show you guys. So this is the hip pack I will be wearing while I'm at Essen. So I'll have a Harry Potter backpack, and then this will be around the front of me. So if you see this or a Harry Potter backpack, that is how you can recognize me. Oh, and then I'm going to be using, I don't think that there's any need for a lanyard. So apparently you just show them your phone and scan your QR code that way. But I did print out my QR code and put it into this lanyard, this Hocus Pocus lanyard. So if you see a Hocus Pocus lanyard or this hip pack or a Harry Potter backpack, then you'll know it's me. so and I have my own pin on the lanyard. But I did just print out my QR code and just stuck it in here. So in case I don't want to pull out my phone, I hope that they'll be able to scan this and let me in that way. So I'm really excited for Essen. What else? So let's just go on to the question of the week. So I kind of went into this while talking about ice a little bit earlier, and I feel like I might have posed this question at some other point in time, but I guess I can just ask it again. I want to know what you guys think makes an evergreen game, and are you inclined to back games that are likely to become evergreen games, or are you fine backing games knowing that they may never become an evergreen game? Like games that are, you know, basically hyped up, like people are talking about them because it's on Kickstarter, you have all these previewers talking about how much they love it, and then once the regular backers receive their games, you know, they're playing it and they're excited about it because they just received it, but then the hype dies down and you never hear about these games again. Are you likely to still back those games now knowing that they may never become evergreen? Or, you know, are you someone who is starting to become more selective in what you back as costs are increasing for board games? Like, it's getting way more expensive than it's ever been to ship, you know, to receive your games. The cost of games in general, I feel like, is going much higher than, you know, it's going up than it used to be. Like, for example, that one farm game from the publisher Keymaster Games that I wanted, that one farm game, which I don't even remember the name of now, which I was backing, and then I canceled my pledge because of how expensive it was. Like, games are just so expensive now, and then you have to take in the cost of shipping, and then you get surprised with extra shipping costs. Like, you know, a lot of publishers now don't tell you what the shipping is going to be until they're actually about to ship it because costs are increasing now. So I feel like backers are becoming way more selective. At least I am. Like, I know I'm not backing, like, I went way Kickstarter crazy back in 2019 and 2020, like just backing everything and of course going broke doing so. But I really feel like, having played all these new games now that I'm receiving, you know, from Kickstarters, and I'm just starting to get a little bit more, I guess, what's the word, disillusioned? I don't know, jaded. Like, I'm just starting to feel like, as I'm playing games, like, was this a game I really should have spent my money on? Like, is this going to be an evergreen game? Is this a game that I can pull out, you know, weeks and months later and people are still going to want to play it? Or are they going to want to play what are the classics, or what become the classics, what become the evergreen games? So I want to know what you think is an indicator that a game is going to become an evergreen game. And are you backing only those types of games now, or are you still backing things that you know will not become evergreen games? I would love to know what you guys think about that. And I will see you in 2 weeks, because next weekend I will be in Germany. So you guys will see me in 2 weeks, and hopefully I'll have some cool games to show you from Essen. My plan is, which of course I'll talk about in my Essen video, but my plan is to only purchase games which will be difficult to get in the US. So we'll see if I actually stick to that plan. So until next time, bye!